The proximity alarms sang their shrill warning across the empty corridors of Outpost Kepler 7, and Mira nearly dropped her coffee bulb. In 3 years of manning this forgotten way station at the edge of charted space, nothing larger than a maintenance drone had come within 100,000 kilometers. She pulled up the external cameras, and her breath caught. Something moved through the void, massive, serpentine, impossibly alive. Its scales, though cracked and dulled by what must have been centuries of stellar radiation, still caught the distant starlight. Wings that could have wrapped around her entire station folded tight against its body. As it drew closer, Mira saw its eyes, ancient, exhausted, and fixed on her airlock with something that looked dangerously close to hope. The comm crackled. The voice that emerged was like grinding glaciers, like continental plates finding peace. Young keeper of this beacon, I am Arden. I request shelter. Mira's hand hovered over the emergency lockdown. Dragons were myths from humanity's expansion era. Creatures born in the hearts of dying stars, evolved in ways that mocked human understanding of biology. They were supposed to be extinct, hunted to nothing by the Crithian Imperium 200 years ago for the stellar cores that powered their flight. But here one was, bleeding something luminescent into the black, requesting shelter from a 26-year-old human who could barely keep the station's coffee maker working. You're hurt, Mira said, finding her voice. Dying, Arden corrected, matter of fact. But I would prefer not to do so in the empty dark. I have seen enough of darkness. Every regulation screamed at her to refuse. Dragons were classified as megafauna non grata. Harboring one could mean court-martial, could mean her small station flagged as hostile. But Mira looked at those dim eyes, at the way the creature's wings trembled with exhaustion, and thought about the 3 years she'd spent talking to nothing but automated systems and monthly supply drops. She knew something about loneliness. She knew something about the weight of empty dark. Bay 3 is pressurized for large cargo, she said. Can you fit? The dragon's laugh was a sound like solar wind. I have folded myself into neutron star crevices, young human. I will fit. Bay 3 had never held anything like Arden. The dragon coiled in the center of the space, head resting on loops of its own body, and even diminished by age and injury. It filled the chamber with a presence that made Mira's instincts scream both danger and wonder. Up close, she could see the wounds, deep gouges across the torso where scales had been pried away, exposing the crystalline lattice beneath that pulsed with dying light. Crithian mining scars, old but never properly healed. They found me 3 weeks ago, Arden said, watching Mira examine the damage. A remnant patrol. I thought I had outlived their grudges, but hate has a longer memory than dragons. Mira retrieved the station's medical kit, designed for humans, laughably inadequate for this. I don't know how to help you. You already have. One massive eye fixed on her, pupil like a collapsed star. Do you know what I have seen in my centuries, young Mira? I have watched species rise and fall. I have seen empires that thought themselves eternal crumble to dust. I have flown through the formation of nebulae and witnessed the death of gods. Mira applied a basic dermal sealant to one wound, knowing it would do almost nothing. Sounds lonely. Unbearably so. Arden's voice softened. Your kind. Humans fascinate me. So brief, so fragile, yet you spread across the stars like determined weeds. You build small stations in forgotten places and call them home. You offer shelter to dying myths without hesitation. I hesitated, Mira admitted. For 3 seconds, I counted. The dragon's equivalent of a smile, a slight curve to its massive jaw. Most species would have fired weapons first. They fell into an easy rhythm over the following days. Mira brought her meals to Bay 3, eating while Arden told stories of the universe before human expansion, of living nebulae and crystal forests on tidally locked worlds, of the first time the dragon had seen a human ship and thought how strange, how brave, how beautifully reckless. We thought you would burn out quickly, Arden said on the 4th night. One supernova of expansion, then collapse into your own gravity. But you don't collapse, do you? You adapt. You persist. You find joy in small coffee makers and old dragons in cargo bays. Mira laughed, surprised by the sound in the usually silent station. Is that what this is, joy? What else would you call it? She considered. The station felt less empty now. The corridors less cold. Even knowing Arden was fading, the light beneath its scales growing dimmer each day. Mira found herself grateful for this strange companionship. My people have a saying, Arden continued. The brightest stars burn shortest, but they light the way for eons after they die. I think I understand now why humans will outlast dragons. You make the universe less lonely, one small shelter at a time. On the 7th day, Mira woke to silence in Bay 3. Arden had folded its wings one final time. Head rested peaceful, the light finally gone from beneath ancient scales. But in the center of the coil, the dragon had left something. A scale, whole and perfect, glowing with captured starlight. Mira held it, feeling warmth pulse against her palm. A gift, a thank you. A reminder that even myths needed shelter sometimes, and that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their weapons or their ships, but in their stubborn, reckless compassion. She placed the scale on her console, where it cast dancing lights across the station's dark corridors. And for the first time in 3 years, Outpost Kepler 7 didn't feel forgotten at all. It felt like home,